And now, it's the Mike Tech Show, show number 792. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Mike Smith. Thank you very much for downloading and subscribing to the show. Please visit the main website at miketechshow.com. You can email questions and suggestions for show topics at miketechshow@gmail.com. Can leave me a voicemail message on Skype. The name is Mike Tech Show, all one word. Follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/Mike Tech Show, and also facebook.com/Mike Tech Show. This show is brought to you by Instant House Call. If you want robust remote support, this is made for IT pros and MSPs. Provides unattended and on-demand remote access. Try it free by clicking on the link on the left-hand side of the website at miketechshow.com. Use the promo code MikeTechShow. Get your free 15-day trial. And you can also go directly to instanthousecall.com. An announcement, a big change. If you take a look at miketechshow.com, the Amazon link has changed. So if you have it bookmarked or saved or you've shared it with people, change it to the bookmark that you'll see if you click and copy the link on the banner on the left-hand side. That's a big Amazon banner. And now in the show notes, it'll be orange bold to click on that to go to Amazon, and you'll be making a donation just to the Mike Tech Show and myself to help support the show. It's going to take a few months to get that ramped up and get that going. I really appreciate you supporting the Mike Tech Show and continuing to use that link. And now it's a new link. So thank you very much for making a note of that. Before we get started, a few things. Techcon Unplugged. I have not talked about it. I'm not attending this year because, and I wish I was, because on September 17th, Friday, this is a great convention in Chicago. Friday, there is a Microsoft 365 boot camp that I would kill for to see, that you want to register and get the limited seating that's available for that boot camp. Techcon Unplugged is September 17th through the 19th. So you got Friday, Saturday, Sunday, a ridiculously low price. You're going to love it. I wish I could be there. On the 17th, I'm going to be on an airplane heading back to Florida, where I'm going to be there for 2 months. Unfortunately, I have some projects in Florida that required my attention. There is no way for me to attend, or I absolutely would be there. Check it out. Go to techconunplugged.com and register now before it gets filled up and you're locked out. So hopefully, I'm hoping that they record something and I'll be able to see something. I don't know, because it's very, very hard, and you can't count on that because it's very difficult to get everything recorded. Another quick update before we hit the main topic, and that is last Friday, a successful upgrade of the dental software where we had a problem a few weeks before that, and it went exactly the way it's supposed to. Smooth. Software server update happened. Then we were able to go to all the workstations. Everything went without a hitch. Very, very nice. So I just wanted to follow up on that because that was kind of hanging over our heads last week. It's been incredibly busy. Tonight's topic, the rest of the show right now, it's all about drivers. And it's just one little itty-bitty email that I do not think Andrew realized he was kicking this off for the full topic for tonight. And he wrote me, I have about 8 PCs. Is there a driver update software that can be used on multiple PCs that doesn't break the bank that you would recommend? And I replied back with the first 2 links for tonight. One of them, the first one, is one that I've talked about a lot, but it hasn't been, recently I haven't mentioned it. And that's Driver Max. The Pro version, I think they have a sale now. It's incredibly cheap. I think you can get a lifetime version with unlimited use for like $29. And if you only want an annual, it's like $10. Here's when I'm going to give you my approach to drivers. We only download and install Driver Max Pro on a system when Device Manager does not have the driver. So if we have a system in our hands and after the Windows 10, whether it's update or whether we've done it from scratch or it comes in from the manufacturer, if there is a Device Manager that revealing that there's no driver and we've done the updates, so we've done the Windows updates and we've also checked online, and if there was no driver for that device, then we would pull out Driver Max. If we have a problem with a driver, we will put that on. We will run it maybe just for the hardware that does not have a driver, and we won't update everything. And then if it fixes it, great, and we always uninstall it. So we're not leaving that behind running on a system. We will just install it and then uninstall it. And that's been working very well for us. But remember, way back, I've had listeners write in. They've experienced issues with Driver Max. So that's why there's another paid program, Driver Agent, and that's at driveragent.com. Now, if you don't want to spend any money, there's Snappy Driver Installer, and it's free. Please, any of these driver programs, I would like you to absolutely test them. Maybe remove some drivers on a test system and then install it before you dare attempt this on a client system. Then what I want you to do is get the driver for that. Now, Taz mentioned Patch My PC. That's not drivers. Patch My PC is, I believe, isn't that just the software for updating all your software? This is for drivers. And the first 3 websites for tonight listed in the show notes: Driver Max Pro, Driver Agent, and Snappy. A lot of people wrote in for a long time to me recommending Snappy, and they like that. Maybe that's where you begin because it doesn't cost any money. It's open source. So highly recommend that. Now, one of the problems we run into as we deep dive drivers and the issues is disabling Windows 10 from installing the drivers. We've seen many problems with Windows updates and older refurbished systems that has slightly older hardware, problems with the drivers. So if you have to stop that and you have Windows 10 Pro, it's real easy. In the group policy editor, you just follow the instructions. You just type gpedit.msc. Then you have to browse to computer configuration, administrative templates, Windows components, Windows update. You click that and you turn it on for the do not include drivers with Windows update policy. And that has saved us on future updates from Microsoft for the hardware. Now remember, this is mainly business hardware. They're not playing games. They don't need the latest, greatest graphics driver. We're talking people that just use their browser. Maybe there's a couple vertical applications and Office. That's it. They're not doing heavy lifting on these systems. So my approach is not to always have the latest, greatest driver for my customers. Now, for myself, I often check making sure my NVIDIA is updated. I make sure that the SSDs, the firmware, I make sure that that's updated. So there's a few things on my system that I'll personally take care of. And one of them, and I don't mean to get this out of order and early, is Intel. So I have the Intel driver and support assistant always running, and there'll be a little highlight in the lower left-hand corner when there's an Intel driver. And Intel constantly updates the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth drivers. So I'm forever updating that. But I keep my Intel drivers to the latest, greatest. And that's also going to be a link. But before I go down the manufacturer's path for drivers, I want you to be aware of, if there's no easy, you can't just type GP edit and get a group policy editor in Windows 10 Home, but you can activate it. It is there. It's just not available to you to easily get to. So I have a link that'll be in the show notes for how to access the group policy editor in Windows Home. Very easy, step forward instructions that I want you to follow if you have Windows 10 Home, and you will be able to get it to run. There's a few programs that you have to run. It's not that bad, and you'll be able to have it, and then you can follow the first link, the one before this, which is how to do that in Windows 10 Pro. Now, what I try to do, all my systems, I never want to sell Windows 10 Home. I want every system to be Windows 10 Pro. And when I can, especially if it's an office, I will build in the price of updating it to Pro. And we'll take care of that before we put it in the hands of our client. Any business client, it's a must. It's required. And I just build it in the price, especially if I'm providing the hardware. If they bought the hardware, then I will add it, and I will especially explain that to them, that to be compliant, if they need the whole hard disk encryption with BitLocker, well, you got to have Pro. So I force that. But getting back to drivers, I will not just randomly update all the drivers. I'll make sure on the initial install of the operating system that all the drivers are found. But only if there's a problem do I go in and actually force updates of drivers. There's a lot of thoughts on that, and I wouldn't mind everybody, taking the time, share with me, and I'll put together another follow-up show on what do you do to handle drivers for your clients. So I'm giving you my approach. So we have the Intel site. That's the next link that's going to be in the show notes. And I recommend going to that and checking any Intel components in your system. This will do a scan and it'll update. Next, for hardware, Dell support. Get the service tag, and I have the Dell support link. It's going to be in the show notes. Enter the service tag, and then you can also, right beside that box, there's download and install support assistant. You can automatically have Dell check and update all the drivers. So if you're having any kind of an issue and you have a Dell and it's driver based, you got to go there. Same with HP. So, there's so many. You can go to Lenovo, all the hardware manufacturers. But right now, I'm just hitting the big three: Intel, Dell, and HP, and providing links to those websites for the manufacturer of the drivers. Now, something I am seeing on some Dell refurb systems coming in. When we first sign in and start the update, we're noticing the Ethernet driver. If there's a Wi-Fi driver, the Wi-Fi is loaded, but not the Ethernet. So it's very interesting. So I have to put them on our test network Wi-Fi just to get the drivers and updates going so I can get an Ethernet driver. So very interesting that I just noticed this on some slightly older generations of Dell Optiplex hardware. So now, what if you want to just identify, well, what is the chipset of a program, of a system? There is the CPU-Z utility, and this gives you lots of great information about the manufacturer of the chipsets of the hardware that's in that machine, and that's a free utility. You can run that, and then you can go to the manufacturer. You can say, oh, it's an AMD graphics card. It's a AMD processor. It's an Intel processor. This will help identify the system information. Now, another really good piece of software that I highly recommend is Speccy. Speccy gives you everything you need on a system. I always talk about SIW. I have the paid technician's license for that, but the counterpart, you don't get as much, but it's still good and it's free, and that's Speccy, and that's by the same company that does CCleaner. So I wish that I had everybody in front of me asking driver questions right now, because that's what I got for tonight's show. It's going to be a short show, but this is dedicated to drivers. And every website that I've mentioned is in the show notes, and I'm going to review that for everybody. DriverMax.com, DriverAgent.com, Snappy Driver Installer, and that's SDI-tool.org. How to disable automatic driver updates on Windows 10, and that's a WindowsCentral.com site. How to add local group policy in Windows 10 Home. I have that site, and that's a MakeUseOf.com site. We have the 3 manufacturer websites for updating drivers: Intel, Dell, and HP. 2 free programs that you can run that can identify a lot of your hardware components, and that you want to run that if someone's experiencing any kind of an issue with the hardware. I'll identify it. Make sure you know what hardware is in that system. CPU-Z and Speccy. These are all great free programs, except for the first 2. Driver Max Pro, yes, there's a free version, but I'll tell you, it's so cheap. Pay the money. It's worth it. And it's just so automatic to be able to update all the drivers if you want that. That is it. I would like you to take a moment and email me, MikeTechShow@gmail.com, if you have any questions about this, or what was your experience? What do you do for your clients? How do you handle drivers? Really appreciate that. So remember, new Amazon link. It's at MikeTechShow.com. There's a new banner on the left-hand side. Please use that. And now replace your bookmarks with this new link. And 100% of that affiliate commission comes directly to me. And I appreciate the support for the Mike Tech Show. And then we also, Fab's Auto Backup. Been using that all week this week. Fab's Auto Backup 7 Pro. Link will be in the show notes. Show notes, great for moving your settings from one system to another. And then, of course, Instant House Call That's the great remote access program. If you are an IT professional or MSP, that's it. That's your remote control software. That's it for tonight's show. I want to thank you. Next show will be coming live from Florida, from my Florida office. God willing, everything good. Everybody, have a great week and stay safe. And see you back here next week. Same time, same channel. Bye-bye.